Kelpieone here on Stainedglasscuts. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can fuse beautiful multicolored sun catchers from scraps, and how to construct a hanging hole from just scraps. The only materials you'll need are some scraps, some 1mm clear stringer, 1/8" fiber paper, and kiln paper. Other than a kiln, a microwave kiln will do just fine. The only tools I'll use are a glass cutter, running pliers, and a paper punch. Yes, I said paper punch. And for supplies, I'll be using Bullseye Glastac Gel. To begin, you need to take your scrap and turn it into 1/2 inch wide strips and little 1/4 inch squares for the jewels. To make the squares, I score a piece of glass on one side every 1/4 inch, and then I flip it over and score the back side every 1/4 inch. Then, taking my running pliers, I break out the little squares. I'll finish up by squaring off the ends of these 1/2 inch strips and put everything through its first firing in the kiln. Okay, we're good to go. This idea started with this design, which used twice cooked lengths of 1/2 inch scrap and a ring I'd made. I liked this design, but started thinking about how I could make it entirely from scraps with no hole drilling or ring making. The more I got into it, the more things I discovered. Here's how I made the original design. I started by making a ring. I've got a video on how I make rings, link in this video's description. Making the ring required a drill, a hole saw, and a circle cutter. Next, I took 1/2 inch wide pieces of scrap and put them through a firing in the kiln. I cut the pieces to the sizes I wanted and added a jewel to the top. I then balanced pieces of clear stringer between each of the pieces of glass and fired everything a second time. Then drilled a hole in the jewel and added a hanger. For drilling the hole, I used my small drill press and a diamond burr. But let's get rid of the drill, the hole saw, the circle cutter, the drill press, and the diamond burr. Here's how I did that. I spun the arms around. This got rid of the ring, and used 4 pieces of rod with a tightly rolled piece of kiln paper in the middle to get rid of the jewel. I used Glastac Gel to make the rolled up kiln paper. Here's an example. You can vary how much kiln paper you roll up to get the size of the hole you want. And the result of my first attempt? Pretty nice. You could even go without kiln paper for the hanger. But you'll need to make the starting hole large enough that the hole won't close up on you, as this one did. But we can do better than that. What about using 6 small jewels to make a hole? And maybe a circle of 1/8 inch fiber paper instead of kiln paper. So I took out my old paper punch and punched out a nice round piece of fiber paper and laid it out like this in the kiln. It was a pain to balance all the stringer, but here's the result. Looks like the mouth of a sandworm from Dune or a lamprey. The stringer stuck to the fiber paper, but no worries. The teeth broke off easily and I cleaned up the hole with some 400 grit wet dry sandpaper. But not done yet. Next, I laid out the jewels, sticking them to the kiln paper using Bullseye Glastac Gel. This kept the jewels from moving around when placing the stringer. After the gel had set, I leaned 3 1/8-inch pieces of stringer in the gaps made by the jewels, pushing the stringers vertically as much as possible. No balancing, yeah. And here's the result. No teeth. Kind of looks like a lifesaver. So to review, before the stringer is placed, here's the old layout, and here's the new layout. And here are the results. Here's what we've learned. Scraps can be turned into rods and jewels. Rods and jewels can be twice cooked to make hanging holes. One-inch thick fiber paper and a paper punch are great for making hanging holes. You can vary the size of hanging holes you want to make with kiln paper by varying the amount of kiln paper you roll up. Different numbers of jewels can be used to create different sized hanging holes, and balancing or leaning the stringer both work, but leaning the stringer is easier. You can use different colors of stringers in your designs. Using Glastac Gel to stick pieces of glass to the fiber paper makes it much easier to add the stringer in the kiln. So there you have it. Scraps can be fused into beautiful sun catchers with very few tools needed. Thanks for watching. Please consider liking and subscribing. Cheers!